is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in, Paul Catalina and Garrett Ross. Garrett, it's been a minute since you and I have done. It's been a minute
thinking about that.
We've done the triple option together. The CFP is happening this week on Thursday and Friday as to avoid the NFL playoffs, which Tim Brando's been on our show many times. It's one of his big pet peeves is that, a few years ago, college football was just like, yeah, you guys can have Saturdays after we're done.
Never made any sense.
Yeah, you guys just have them. And then, I don't know if there was something like, hey, if we ever do change anything, do you think they'll give them back just out of the kindness of their hearts? The NFL played a game on Christmas Day on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
No, they're going to
bullied the NBA out of Christmas. They're going to bully the NBA out of Christmas.
Yeah. The NBA is going to become the, January 27th or December 27th.
Yeah.
They're going to bully him out of that. But if it falls on a Thursday and then on a set, no, we're going to do Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, and you guys can play on January 2nd.
Right.
Yeah. So, that was a silly thing. So we'll talk about the CFP a little bit and our expectations for Notre Dame and Penn State, and also Texas and Ohio State, which, I haven't decided what I think about it yet, completely on that game. Mm-hmm. If I'm just picking on who's playing the best right now, Ohio State's going to win the next two games.
No, they're clearly playing the best right now.
But if I had said that before Ohio State had played a game, I picked Tennessee to beat them. I thought Tennessee was going to go up there and beat them. I thought that they were ho-hum, down to their luck, and they were about to waste all that talent they had. Well, no, that was wrong.
Did you do a bracket?
I just made the picks on our normal pick'em.
Okay.
That I did. By the way, I have locked up the title.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
I've locked it up for the four of us. Jack quit 8 weeks ago.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Craig forgot 1 week and then became real surly about it because he forgot. Smokey did fine until he forgot to make his next picks in the bowl round. So because of my stick-to-itiveness, you just never were in this thing, Garrett.
I stuck from the jump.
You stuck with it. But because I stuck to it, and here's the other thing, I'm second overall. Only one person beat me.
Okay.
So this is not Paul won the picks out of all the personalities, but he was 35th overall, and we're just dumb. No, I was second overall. So, bow to me. Just because of, having to set the picks myself every week and doing it, I just remembered. I won because I remembered. It's kind of like that class you go to in college that if you just show up every day,
get a grade.
You're getting a B.
Yeah.
Just being there every day is going to give you osmosis. Not only the teachers is going to give you a B, the class isn't that hard. You're going to get a B because it's impossible to fail if you just go.
Right.
I had a couple of teachers, especially in my first 2 years, straight up and down, heard them telling kids, yeah, look, you would not be getting a D in this class if you just came here when you were supposed to be here. Don't do anything. Just come here. I promise you, this is not difficult. They make it one of my English professors told me they make me teach this one class, so that I can get, some of my writing funded.
So it's the Bert Kreischer criteria.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just show
up.
Now, I will say this: I have found out that in the year since Bert left, and then since I left. Which would have been 6 years after Bert. He left a year and a half before I got there. Mm-hmm. But that now, we're a school.
Oh, y'all took it serious.
We're bringing the heat now. And we had, I think you'll remember last year when I was in Orlando, we had kind of a guest intern. Mm-hmm. And she's a lifelong FSU fan. And she was going to Alabama because and she had really good grades, but it just got so competitive getting to FSU. And I was like, awesome.
South Florida made everybody raise their standards.
There we go. Let's raise it up. And then like you can also spit on the state of Alabama going like, listen, it's way easier to get into your schools. Auburn, that's a color.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in a crayon box, okay? If you guys know all the crayons, then maybe you get a degree from Auburn. That's how snotty we can be, you know, because and I'll say this. I mean, this is neither here nor there. Florida's always like, it's going to pain me to say this. Florida and Miami have all been really good schools, to great at times. Florida State was always good, but not like, it was just kind of the one. It was
school, yeah.
Kind of catching up. And then USF and UCF used to be just commuter schools. That's what they were. I mean, it was not. That's how they had to build out. And now all those schools are really good. And like when I saw that USF beat several other people to the punch of being in the AAU, I was like, what?
I know that one kind of came out of nowhere.
Like one of the kids in my high school that got into a 4-year school that no one thought would. That's the 4-year school he got into. So it was like when he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to USF." You're like, a university of South Florida? Are you sure there's not a CC behind that name or a, you know, or a DeVry? I mean, I wouldn't even been confident in this guy. He smoked so much weed. Like fixing a DVD player would have been like, whoa.
Very complicated.
This is tough, man. What are we doing? So, but I did before we get into the CFP, well, that'll be in the next segment. But in the first segment, I wanted to go through some of the transfer portal things that are going on. Garrett, our favorite schools are reloading a lot.
They are
a lot in the portal, and I'm here to tell everybody who's excited about the portal right now, you have to temper that excitement.
Yep.
You have to absolutely temper that excitement because there are things that you should look for in the portal and things that you should do. And what I can just tell you what I've seen a lot of people do is they pick potential over production and it hurts them. And it's because they might have gotten a lot out of someone else that was potential before production. I'll call this the Jared Verse conundrum.
Right.
Like, okay, for every Jared Verse that you find, there's a whole lot more guys who are never going to be Jared Verse. But you could make the mistake of thinking, I can make anyone Jared Verse, when you're like, well, no, that's Jared Verse.
Hence, Hugh Freeze in this quarterback situation in Auburn this year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Hugh Freeze thought, like, oh, look, Caden Salter had this problem at Tennessee. We'll take him at Liberty. We'll push him full of propaganda and, you know, all this stuff. We're all about rebounding because that's why Liberty hired me, Hugh Freeze.
Yep.
Because that and, you know, my transgression, not as weird as the guy who's running this place. But so, okay, I do it with Caden Salter. Oh, I'll get Peyton Thorne from Michigan State. Okay. You know, receivers generally don't run away from quarterbacks that are going to help them get to the league.
Not at all. They gravitate towards them.
And if a receiver, and if you see a receiver leave a good quarterback, it's either because they're stupid and chasing just the money, or they leap from quarterback to quarterback.
Correct.
So I went from Justin Fields to Jalen Hurts kind of a thing. Like, that's what I did.
Right.
I just went and took some money, but my quarterback situation's better either way. And that's what I call a smart person. Like, look, I'm going to get money wherever I go, but I got to make sure that if I want to make money past this year, I'm going to be playing with a good quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah. Nobody was running like that's why I was shocked that they got Cam Coleman. And that's the question. Look, if you have a recruitable receiver in your family, if you have someone like that, the question you have to ask is, what's the run of quarterbacks at the place I'm committing to look like? What does the quarterback coach look like? Are the receivers, catching a lot of passes? Are they distributing the ball? Is the best receiver they had just a unicorn that, came out of nowhere and caught 100 balls and everybody else caught 9?
Right.
Those are the questions they got to ask. And I think sometimes you don't. I think that you look, and so
I also think that a lot of that too is you let outside influences impact your decision.
Oh yeah, for sure. That is absolutely true. But yeah, I think that what you'll start to see in the transfer portal in the post-revenue sharing era is probably a lot less because people will have signed contracts. There'll be some.
Well, I know if I was, and I don't know if you can legally do this. This might be where the employee and yada yada comes in. But if I'm somebody running an NIL collective, I would like to be able to find a way to, when I sign you to at least a 2-year contract. That way I know for sure I'm getting at least 2 seasons out of you. Now, I don't know if that's something that you would have to see you become employees or how a union would impact that. But that's what I would like to see if I was an NIL collective doing this, pursuing somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I mean, you just have to be smarter about it. Now, look, and I'm going to talk about FSU for a second here just because it kind of makes the most sense for the extremes of it. They dominated the portal for 2 years.
They did.
Dominated it. And then last year, if you really look at what they got out of the portal, it was potential and not production. Now, if you look, they're getting off of the whole, like they're going to have a whole new offensive line except for one player, I think. And it's all guys who have had a lot of experience and played in offenses that have run the ball and not given up a lot of sacks. Right. They're bigger guys. They've gotten way bigger on the defensive front. You know, when they went and got wide receivers, they got guys with receptions, which I don't understand why they didn't apply that, because when they went out and got, like Johnny Wilson was potential because he had been injured so much. Keon Coleman had produced. People knew, as soon as he left, he was that dude. Wasn't allowed to produce to the level he did because he didn't have a good quarterback and a good system, and the head coaching situation there became a mess. Because people like to take pictures of their junk. I don't know.
I've never understood that.
I'm gonna make a PSA to all people who would ever want to take a picture of their junk and send it to somebody. Your doctor doesn't even want to see it. Okay, no one wants to see it. No lady is sitting around going, "Man, I want to." Even if she really, really likes you, she doesn't want to see it.
No,
she does not. It's something she accepts, not something that she seeks out.
Right.
It's accepted. Okay, I like men so that when we copulate, I'm going to have to put up with this thing. But they don't sit around thinking about it all day.
No.
They're different.
A little different.
Yeah. No one wants to see it. No one. No one wants to see it. So no one wants to hear you touch it either. They don't. That's just not how it is. That's why they had to invent the things for people that, you had to pay them $1.99 a minute, and they would tolerate you doing it because they were getting money to just sit there and go, "Oh yeah, that's right. So that's my just PSA out there.
Yeah.
For this is how you avoid a sexual harassment suit. This is how you do it. When you think, I'm going to take a picture of this, or I'm going to call and make her listen while I do things to this, that's when you don't do that. You don't do that because that's not what they want. So, and if they say they do, they're either lying or they're insane.
Yeah.
So run the other way. So that's just a tip from me. I want people to live.
You're going to follow with just a tip?
Yeah.
Dang.
That's the whole. No, that's the whole thing. That's the whole. I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm doing that. Oh, Lord. So, actually, I think if it was like this, you probably wouldn't. You don't need to show it because you just carry yourself a certain way.
There'll be a trail.
I mean, I know that we've gone off on a tangent here, but I don't want other coaches to get fired for something that's totally preventable.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe I'm making society a little better by talking about it.
You're one of the people, one for the people.
I know, that's what I look. And I'm not sitting here making, giving it weird names or anything like that, or being crass. I'm just saying this is how you do this. Mm-hmm. You don't do these things.
Right.
So
I appreciate that. I appreciate learning that today.
So anyway, that's the public service for today. They don't want to see it.
Nope. Paul's TED Talk.
Yeah, they don't want to see it. As much as you want them to see it, they don't want to.
Yeah.
They accept it as part of the social contract, but it's not something they seek out. It's like vegetables for kids.
I get that.
They accept it. They don't seek it out.
They don't like it.
That may have been the worst way to compare those two things ever, but still, also don't do it then either. That's even worse.
Trying to find the exit.
I think that when you look at how you build certain things, how you look at the way, like, if you're going to, like, high school recruiting is potential. Maybe getting a guy that is a freshman that hasn't played, that redshirted, it's kind of like high school recruiting plus.
Right.
But if I'm going to get a JUCO guy, he better produce at JUCO, right? It's not potential anymore, it's production.
Yeah.
If I'm going to get somebody who's been in college for more than 2 years, I'm done with potential. Like, oh, they've got 4 years of eligibility or 3 years of eligibility remaining. Well, in the first two, what did they do?
Yeah,
they redshirted
why do you have that eligibility
and played
remaining?
13 plays? Like,
yeah.
No. Like, I know you might like him and think you can get more out of him. And look, there's a little corner of your roster that probably is available to guys like that. But it's a small room. It's got to be a very small room, because if you are picking potential over production when guys are already juniors, it's over. It's over.
I also think there's got to be a better way of evaluating and going about, because I don't understand how certain players can come out and be viewed. All right, like, you're viewed as a star or a 4-star here where you were like a 3-star in high. Like, this evaluation process, and when a player commits to a certain school, how their star fluctuate will go up or down. Like, none of that makes any sense to me. That's something I need to see addressed. But I'm with you. I think, like, when I look at the transfer portal, I want players who have proven themselves or have a larger upside. I would like to see a guy come up from a smaller school that is, because to me, you're more hungry. And look, we see plenty of opportunities where it hasn't worked out. Like, you could make the DeQuan Finn comparison here in Waco, where he had all the expectations in the world and it just didn't happen. But I feel more comfortable taking guys that are working their way up, or if you're coming from a program who might be a Power 4 per se program, but they're just not like right there with an LSU or a Florida State, and you have potential. I could see that. Where I get hesitant is, why do I want to go get another guy from like another SEC program just because he was at an SEC program? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. There's a reason a lot of these guys are in the portal and bouncing like that.
Look, if you've left it again, if you've left a good program, if you've left Tennessee, you better have some stats. It better be about, I just want to be at a different place. This is a better fit for me. Like, that's what it better be about.
Right.
Because if you are, this guy was a 5-star 5 years ago, and now has this JUCO,
red shirt,
extra year, and we're taking him because we think we can get something out of him at 23. Look, if none of those other coaches got anything out of him at 19, 20, 21, 20, it's already over.
Yeah, you're not the guy.
It's over. So I think that's what's really interesting to me about when you're doing it. Like, okay, yeah, you know what? Like, this guy's really fast. He was really good in high school. He didn't play at LSU last year. Okay, here we are at Houston. Yeah, he hasn't played. He'll play here. He'll be a big deal for us.
Right.
Like, we can make that work. We have a corner of our room for that, for the guys who are just can't break the depth chart at other places because they signed in a class with 5 other wide receivers, and those guys
like Isaiah Nayor.
Yeah. Okay, and he was injured and all that. Yeah. So there's those guys. Okay, and he had production at Wyoming though, too. So but we're gonna have that. Like, he was a redshirt freshman last year, didn't see the field, so we'll take him, and he's essentially a freshman to us. So that's essentially a high school plus recruit, because he's been in college for a year, he knows how it works, just blocked on the depth chart because they've got 4 NFL guys in front of him, and he could be an NFL guy one day, but he's not going to be until he gets the reps. Right. So we're going to go get him. Or there's hey, this guy is the Sun Belt offensive MVP. Maybe he's not going to be an NFL guy, but he's better than our quarterback who was terrible last year. You know, there's those guys. And I like the, you know, you've got to go, it's like a buffet. You've got to get most of the things you have to, like, the big, hearty main courses have to be, these are guys who have produced that need a new spot, that want a new spot. You know, I can see, like, I can put on the game film and see that they've scored touchdowns, they've stopped touchdowns, they've had sacks, they've had tackles. I like what I see here. They're in the portal for those reasons. Right. Then there's the little portion, like the little, you know, your little scoop, like your little scoop of mashed potatoes. That's your potential right there, right? Okay, that's a side dish. Let's just potential. You wouldn't want a whole plate of mashed potatoes because then you're going to be like, well, there's no, where's my entree?
Yeah.
Right, so you have that. And then you have your, like, you probably have your, you know, pet cat or two, you know. But outside of that, like, the majority of that plate should be taken up by, I have seen what these guys can do, and I know it will work here.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't take them. You know, because if you're just going on potential, you might as well throw that all into high school recruiting or go get a bunch of JUCO guys who have played and roll that out. Because you can probably make a bowl game easier with that than you can with a bunch of, you know, also-rans from the portal. And, you know, there are weird situations out there. You know, I mean, the one I don't completely understand is Malachi Nelson.
Yeah, that one's weird.
He's now at UTEP. And if he doesn't start at UTEP next year, then I'm starting to wonder if he really likes playing football, you know, because if he's that talented and can't get on the field, he may just not have the – and that's fine. Like, that's the other thing. Somebody needs to tell these kids, like, if you don't want to play football anymore, you can stop.
Right, but I also think, like, too, if people are going to keep throwing money at you, I'm going to – even if I'm going to get as much as I can, even if I know in the back of my mind I don't necessarily want to play, like if that's you know the standard there. But no, like Malachi Nelson is a weird one because you start off, you know, you're going to play for Lincoln Riley and USC, the quarterback guru and whisperer, and for whatever reason you can't make it work there. You go to Boise, and then now you're at UTEP. Like I wonder how much of this is missed. Evaluations? Is this not developing? Like that's where I kind of get concerned in these situations. But you're right. Like with him, if you can't make it work at UTEP, then you probably should go and find something else. What do you make of the Jaden Rashada situation?
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. I think it's unfortunate. Because you know, and here's what's weird. Okay, so he got promised big money at Miami. Okay, Florida came in and promised bigger money, which they could not deliver. So he gets out of his
contract,
his scholarship there, gets in the portal, and he winds up eventually at Arizona State, where he started the first two games, and looked kind of good. Like, he looked like you could see what people are seeing. Got hurt, played in the last game. He played 3 games. And so, essentially, he has a red shirt. So then, you know, Arizona State, he decides, look, I'm going to go. Arizona State was almost like, I went there because, like,
my dad was there. That's
what
my dad
was
like
there.
To me.
Like, it's comfortable to me.
Yeah.
I need to be somewhere. I'm going to go to Arizona State.
Yeah, that's exactly how I interpret it.
And then they didn't win a lot, so he left. And he went to Georgia, where I thought he was the 3rd quarterback. It turns out, from what I've been reading, he was the 4th quarterback. If Gunnar Stockton, like if Carson Beck wasn't able to come in and take that snap and hand off at the end of the Texas game, if he was out, like gone, you know, arm broken, can't do all that stuff, then it would have been Dominic Puglisi that came in and not Jaden Rashada. So he was the 4th quarterback at Georgia, which I just wonder what's going on with him. You know, does Miami get back involved since he was down the road with them? Do you have a reasonable chance to win the starting job there? Because they're kind of screwed right now.
But okay, if you're all right, say Florida State needed a quarterback or needs a quarterback. Wait, would you really want to get involved with them? Like, I know if it was me,
absolutely not.
I would not. Like, I don't want my team to get involved with them because at this point, it's starting to get the vibe of there's too many people making decisions. I don't know where you're at from a developmental standpoint anymore. I don't know how interested and invested you are, because a lot of this comes with distraction as well. The crazy thing is, like, it's weird from a recruiting standpoint or covering recruiting, because you see these people who have all this talent in the world and they just can't make it work for whatever reason. And I think I always go back to Bear Alexander, because I feel like he's got so much talent, but there's so many outside factors there hindering the full potential. And I kind of get in the same vibe with Jaden Rashada. It sucks for him. Ultimately, I want him to be successful, but I don't know that he's ready, or we're going to see him take the reins of a Power 4 program and run with it and live up to the expectations. I just kind of feel like now it's a show. It's a spectacle. It's become like an internet trend type thing with him, and that's really unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate that's happened with him, and I hate it for the kid. Like, I don't know anything about him other than these things have happened. Like, I know, like, when adults are throwing money at you like that, I'm not going to judge the kid. I don't know anything about him. I just know the situation sucks. And he probably didn't do himself any favors by going to Georgia. Probably should have stayed at Arizona State.
Probably. Well,
they both wound up in the same exact spot this year. So, he would have been a backup on a team that lost in the second round of the playoff.
But I think, kind of looking at the room, though, he would have had an easier opportunity to make the starting position at Georgia than he would at Arizona State.
I don't know. But here's the thing: at Arizona State, it was just him versus Sam Leavitt.
Yeah, but Sam
at
Leavitt.
Georgia, it was him versus three other guys, and a guy Carson Beck, who was the starter.
Right.
So he was going to have to fight his way up to the number 2 quarterback. If I'm him, I'm not looking at, like, he's going to try to want to go. Like, if he winds up at Miami, it would not completely shock me, because that's where it all started. But also, like Maryland or NC State or somewhere that's still a P5 school where you can just play. Like, see if you can play, but because you could not. He wasn't cracking the depth chart. Like, he did not play in one single game this year.
Yeah.
So he was behind when it came to Georgia. And there might be Georgia fans mad at Mike Bobo for that. I don't know. But they're mad at him right now for everything.
If some other coaches made the same decision as Bobo, I don't see how you can be mad at Bobo on that.
No. So,
but, people are delusional. So
yeah. But I wonder what's going to happen with him and where he goes. I'm curious to see it. Does he do like Malachi Nelson now? Do you go to a UTEP, a G5 school, and just play?
I would like to see it. I think that it would help you if you can go and not just play, but you can go to that level and you could dominate, or you could, put up numbers the way Caden Salter was able to at Liberty. Then and then work your way back up. But I need to see you prove it somewhere. Another place, when you were mentioning those programs, I immediately thought of Louisville. We've seen Louisville consistently, bring those caliber or those type of guys in there as well and kind of run with that. That would be interesting.
They brought Miller Moss in already.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know where he ends up. I think that it probably would be best for him to see him go to maybe like a Memphis or something, cook there, and then come back up. But I need to see it first before I'm a big program.
And look, if I were him, he's technically been at 4. This will be his 4th school.
Yeah. So
even though he was in Gainesville for a week.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer, but he wasn't really ever at Gainesville in Florida. But he'll be Florida, Arizona State, Georgia, and now wherever option D is for him. And I just look, I like the transfer portal. I think it's helped college football. I think it's brought about a lot of parity. But this is the part that sucks about it. As a matter of fact, today's top 5 is going to be the top 4-timers club this year. And I'm sure Jaden Rashada is going to be in it.
He's got to be in the mix.
But there are, and it's funny to read about it. And you're like, boom, big get for this school.
That bugs me.
And he's on this 4th school. Like, no. I'll take his 3rd school if his first one was Cam Ward is an incarnate word.
See, that goes hand in hand with the evaluation I'm talking about. It's like, oh, now he's this 4th. Like, where the hell are we? Are we looking at the same thing? Like, this isn't making sense to me.
Yeah. Production over potential. Production over potential. And I say this as a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan, who they are the kings of pulling a dude who is a high draft pick off the scrap heap and telling everybody, Demetrius Underwood is going to be great for us. He won't be crazy here. Antonio Bryant. Well, I guess they drafted him, didn't they?
Probably.
He's the one who threw the jersey at Bill Parcells. I mean, there's a lot of other guys I can tell you that they.
I'm haunted by Albert Hainsworth in Washington.
Yeah,
Jesus.
okay, well we'll fix it. Albert Hainsworth actually played okay at times. Well, I don't know, he kind of given up by then.
He'd given up.
Yeah, he'd kind of given up by
horrible.
then. But he had some production. His problem was just the stomping. And then it was the eating.
Yeah.
So I'm of the belief that you go production over potential, because in the NFL, the Cowboys in free agency, they very rarely go for potential, for production. Mm-hmm. They'll go for potential on a 1-year deal, and sometimes it pays off. Like Malik Hooker is playing for them now. He's played great for the whole time he's been there.
Right.
He's been healthy. He's been great. Okay, that's awesome. They've got like for every one of those guys, there's like a bunch of other guys that, they were the team that signed Martavis Bryant, and had him on the practice squad and waited. Like, they do that all the time. But have any of those guys helped you win anything? No. Production over potential. The draft is for potential. Free agency is for production. High school recruiting is for potential. Transfer portal is for production. That's how you have to do it. If you're going in the portal, you better be getting a guy who has played some damn snaps.
So, with that being said, does that define Zachariah Branch going to Georgia? Or are you still
he's got production, man. Yeah. He's done some things. He's thrown he's throwing it out there. Things are weird at USC right now. And
it's fallen.
Yeah.
It
now, I'm a little surprised because the quarterback question at Georgia is very unanswered.
But they desperately need playmakers.
But they definitely honestly, they could
exposed.
get rid of most of the guys they had right now from this year and not miss a beat with whoever they're going to bring in.
Clear house.
So he will be the numero uno in spring. Like there's no doubt that they're going to try to build the playmaking wing of that offense around Zachariah Branch.
It reminds me of Matthew Golden going to Texas. Like that same kind of, you can go in, you've had the production, you can see it, you put him in that system. Yeah, it's a good move.
Yeah. So, by the way, on my earlier commentary on,
the Wang.
Wet Blanket says, my mind is blown, and David Darrow says, the more you know. Yeah, I mean, those are a productive thing. They did all those things for kids when we were younger about, forest fires and, huff and glue and that. But they need the more you know for adults where
I've learned that.
Where, one of the stars of Yellowstone comes out and says, hey, you may think she wants to see it. She doesn't. Don't send a picture. Bum, 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 bum. There you go. That's productive. Adult, the more you know.
I think that could actually be a great thing for where we're at right now.
I think so. I'm
all for that.
Yeah. No, but all right. When we come back, let's talk a little CFP. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports and the Triple Option channel.
We got love that we'll never need to hide. Love will always rise above. Whatever comes, we will be just fine. If I am yours and you are mine. Take my hand and let's fly away to another galaxy. Hold me close, I want to feel your love. Together we are free. Just be with me. Just be with me. Just be with me.
You might ask yourself what functional mushrooms are good for. Whether it's lion's mane, cordyceps, turkey tail, shiitake, reishi, they all serve a purpose.
You have ones for neurological health, ones for sleeping and gut health and all these different areas. They pack a powerful punch.
Functional mushrooms are, of the millions of mushrooms and fungi out there, the ones that we can actually ingest and benefit from as humans.
Like all adaptogens, they kind of adapt to what you need at the time that you need them.
We don't even really know that we're suffering. We just don't quite feel right. That's where these adaptogens come in and really start to close the gap and really start getting us closer to how we want to feel.
Functional mushrooms have definitely re-energized me and helped me face each day with a new vigor for life.
Learn ways that functional mushrooms can help you. Go to getumble.com.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
I got to say something about that very last spot. From Twillery, and we love Twillery. I'm very happy that they're on board as a sponsor. I would love to have that dude's job. Put on these clothes, like stretch them around, like do all these things that you don't do in clothes ever.
You're not moving like that.
No, I mean, maybe, like, is there a world? You know what? Here's the thing. I'm not going to say that there's not, because there are worlds that we don't walk in. For example, every time I used to see a soda commercial and, like, somebody would drink a Mountain Dew and then they would just start, like, dancing, like, they would put their earbuds in and, start dancing. I was like, well, nobody does that. And then I was in Los Angeles one time. And I know it's in Los Angeles, but
it makes sense.
Literally driving around like Santa Monica, and it wasn't like crackheads either. It was just like people on roller skates, like jamming out. And I thought, okay, well, I just don't live in places where people do that. So, all right. I never thought that, like, have you ever seen like a movie with like a dance off?
Yeah, I've never seen a dance off.
I'd never seen a dance off, and I thought those things don't exist. Like, I know it doesn't exist to save the community center, but I know that, like, I didn't think there was a world where dance off exists. And then I was in a bar one time here in Waco, like not even in an exotic place full of weirdos like Miami or LA or New York, like just normal run of the mill redneck weirdos. And I've seen a country dance off. I've seen a hip hop dance off, and I've seen three. I've seen 3 dance-offs in my life.
What?
Yeah.
I don't get out much.
Here's the thing. It will make you stop drinking because you'll go like, hey, I think I've had too many. I think, are these people really having a dance-off or something's in my drink? But no, it's true. And here's the other thing I'll tell you. I used to think there's no way that you would walk around talking about insurance with people, but then you turn 40.
Then you get old.
You turn 40, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, who do you use?
Who's your guy?
Who you got? This is a nice, so you guys got a new house. Who's your homeowner's guy? thinking I'm thinking of getting a new guy. And then they won't say things like, oh, well, they have the match price, blah, blah plan. But they're like, no, it's good. Call Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff will take care of you. And then I call Jeff, and then Jeff says that stuff to me. But even still, like, I never thought I would have a casual conversation about insurance or who's your accountant.
Right.
Like, but when you're 40 and you
another
have
day.
fiduciary responsibilities, like, these are things you talk about, and then you get excited when you're like, "Oh, you're going to save $300 this year." Like $300.
It's pretty
All
good.
right.
So
Good
I need
deal.
to know what was the best dance off?
The best what?
Which one was the best?
Oh, the country dance off was the most comical.
Oh, I bet.
Because
Like some watermelon.
actually,
crawl
no, that
crap.
one wasn't in Waco. That one was actually in Tampa, and that one ended with the two girlfriends of the guys having the line dance off. And I got to tell you, if you're a man and have a line dance off with another man, you've forgotten about your girlfriend a long time ago, and she's probably just there for show.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I think that was what Grindr was before before that
was just
existed.
code.
And then the two girlfriends got in a fight, and that, like, the last thing I heard was, "Bitch, I'll see you in the Walmart parking lot." And I thought, oh, this is. I kind of wanted to go to the Walmart parking lot because I was like, you were about to realize that you're both mad at each other, but you really should be mad at your boyfriends who are clearly gay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, like, to each their own. But, I'm not here to judge. So this is a great. I think the true beauty of the one true triple option, which this is.
Yes, the
You
one
do not
true.
get this on that bullshit triple option.
No.
You don't get this. Like, I will lead into athletic sports topics, football, basketball, the NFL, all these things. I will lead into them with little slice of life pieces that you do not get.
I
And
appreciate it.
I spent the first 7-8 minutes of the show a PSA about how to avoid a sexual harassment suit in one step.
It's needed.
One step, don't. That's it. Here's how if you think, don't.
Don't just line
Don't.
dance.
That's the thing. There's not, like, you can go through a whole, like, they'll make you, if you do, then they're going to make you go to a thing at work. If they don't fire you and sue you. If it's just the first offense and it's minor. If it's taking a picture, then you're probably out. But if it's not that, if it's just, like, some talk, like, they'll send you to a thing and you got to be there all day long and they'll list all these things. So here's how you can avoid all that. Don't. So when you think, like, should I, you just don't. Like, I think I've just saved corporate America billions of dollars.
You have.
On paying sexual harassment trainers.
But they won't listen.
You know what? Give me half of that money, and I'll show up at whatever corporate thing, and I'll say, look, I will let them pass this course in 1/50th of the time.
Be like Creed leading the day.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll be like, hey, do you think that girl's pretty at work? And do you want to say, like, certain parts of her are pretty? Don't. Like, oh, hey, do you want to show a picture of something to her? Don't. Oh, hey, do you think it would be good to, like, give her a hug and she doesn't want one? It's not. Don't.
Don't.
Yeah. Would you want someone to do that to you? No, you wouldn't, would you? So don't. Like, would you want a dude that you don't know? And I would say this. Would you want a dude that you don't know? Because if you ask a lot of guys, if a woman came up to you and did that, would you want it? You'd be like, yeah, of course I would. But honestly, a lot of times you wouldn't. But if you said, would you want just some random dude that you have no feelings for coming up to you and going, hey, man, no, you wouldn't. So don't.
Don't do it.
So don't.
I need that on a shirt, so don't.
Just don't. So don't.
So don't.
Don't. Just don't. That's it. You want, I know you want to. We all want to do things sometimes. I saw a guy at the grocery store in Nashville with 2 carts. He and his wife, they had 2 carts full of groceries, and they just left them in the parking lot.
Oh, hell no.
You know what I wanted to do is I wanted to punch him. I wanted to put him in one of the carts and shove him through the parking lot and then see what happens. But you know what I told myself?
Just
Don't. That's not going to end well for anybody. And yes, maybe I've, gone through some vigilante justice. And what I did do, here's what I did do, which is maybe a little bit, my mother-in-law thought it was like, she must have thought I was crazy for the first time. But I took, there was other carts, in the handicap area. Look, if you're in the handicap parking, I get maybe not going all the way back to the cart roundup. But there were some other carts there. I took their two and those, and then I put them together and made sure they knew that I wasn't working at Kroger.
Right.
I'm there. I'm doing this because you are the scum of the earth.
Should have put it behind their car where they couldn't get out.
Yeah, I've done that before too. But then they usually sit there and wait. So usually they do that when they're leaving, so they put it in front of their car and you can't do it. I've thought about lots of different ways. Okay, CFP this week. I think the Notre Dame and Penn State game is the more intriguing one to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm not knocking Ohio State and Texas. I think that's going to be a really good game. And I would not be surprised if that one be – Ohio State hasn't played a close game yet. This one will be close. Yeah. Because Texas will slow them down. And I think those are the two best rosters in the country. And it just depends on who plays better. Will Howard has not beaten Texas in his life.
I was thinking about that earlier. All of the struggles
This is his fourth time playing against Texas. His fourth time. And I know that what he would feel like if he finally did shake that burnt orange monkey off his back.
Especially at AT&T, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be a big deal for him. I wonder about Notre Dame and Penn State because they're very, very similar. Mm-hmm. If you told me that game was 20-17, that's where I feel like it's going to live.
Right.
Really good defenses.
I like Notre Dame in that matchup. I think that Riley Leonard.
They have a better coach.
Yeah, they have a better coach. Marcus Freeman's a freaking dude, man. Just watching what he's been able to take that program and where Brian Kelly is at right now. Anyway, I'll get lost on that. But Notre Dame, I think I like them in that matchup. I like Riley Leonard. Honestly, I think if a game was on the line, he would be the quarterback I would take out of the four left. Like if I had one final drive, I would want Riley Leonard to do that. He's not the most talented, but he's gutsy. I'm still kind of concerned if I'm Penn State on Abdul Carter, like his arm and shoulder. Is he going to be able to play if he does come back? How healthy will he be? And that's something where I think as we continue to see this go on, people need to be open to the fact that you're going to see a lot more games down the stretch, these big games where you're not going to have your full rosters or your stars available just because the attrition is going to catch up to them. But at the end of the day, I see that going back and forth. I like Notre Dame to win it and play for the national championship. I just don't know that they have the horses to beat or hang with Ohio State or Texas, whoever they get in that matchup.
Yeah. I think more than whoever wins the Ohio State-Texas game is going to be favored in the championship.
Correct.
I'll think about that game when I know the actual matchup. I think we do too much wish casting and for do you really think – I think we've probably learned our lesson. Do you really think this would happen? I really have no idea.
Anything's possible.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't.
I have no idea. It's going to be way more like the NFL.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, as you know, but I do buy a little bit into the Chiefs not only played their backups, but told their backups not to go real hard.
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
if you were picking Bo Nix or Joe Burrow to put in the playoffs, I would put
Bo Nix. Yeah.
I would put Bo Nix, who may be a little bit afraid of me, in the playoffs if I have to see them again, as opposed to Joe Burrow, who I know for sure, the only quarterback on the planet I know for sure is not afraid of the Chiefs is Joe Burrow. The rest of them might be a little. Even Josh Allen, he might be a little spooked. I don't think he is, but for sure I know it's Joe Burrow. And the one who gets it a real high out of sticking it to us is Joe Burrow. If I can keep him out of the playoffs, I'm keeping him out of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I'm doing that. So I don't want you guys to give lacks effort. But don't be sad if you don't catch that 3rd and 7 pass.
Yeah.
If Carson Wentz overthrows you, it's fine.
See, that's why I didn't I tried watching yesterday, but a lot of those games just felt like preseason. I was like, I'm not watching
now,
this
did
crap.
you watch the Cowboys?
Man, I watched probably the first. Well, no, I watched the command. Well, I watched Washington. I watched Washington for about the first 3 drives, and I was like, I can't watch this product.
No, I said, hey, look, it was fun at the end. You missed the
saw
best
that at
part
the end, yeah.
for you.
I
mean,
yeah.
I say it was fun at the end for me because I was like,
Yeah.
the Cowboys going to start Trey Lance in the last game of the season
that's
and
what
haul
bugs
off and
me.
win and cost themselves 4 draft spots.
I do not like that. Yeah,
yeah,
it was just frustrating.
But I
What do you make of the Texas Ohio State game?
I think it's going to be close. I think Ohio State wins because they're just hot right now. But I mean, I don't know. Like Texas just the game against Arizona State. I don't know why everybody's so surprised that it went the way it did.
Because they didn't watch Arizona State.
Or they didn't watch Texas.
Yeah.
That's almost how all their games kind of went. Like after the midpoint of the season, they did not have a here we are, we're going to destroy you type of game.
No.
They just had we have better dudes than you, and it plays off in the end.
And it bit them against Georgia.
Texas wins with, as long as it's not Georgia.
As long as they couldn't match you athlete for athlete, yeah.
Yeah. Texas, which Ohio State can't.
They will.
So Texas wins with good coaching and depth.
Yep.
They don't win with and really Ohio State's the only one in this entire playoff who has consistently won with like razzle dazzle. And that wasn't the case for them for a stretch either. So I don't know. I mean, like right now they're just hot. Everything's kicking on all cylinders. Ryan Day is coaching loose. So I'm leaning Ohio State right now, but Texas just has a way of like the only game I ever felt they were truly out of this year was the first game against Georgia, and they found a way to make that one interesting for a little bit.
Right.
So that was their kind of hazing when it came to the SEC. And then the second Georgia game, I still think they should have won, but they didn't. So Georgia's just a bad matchup for them. I think this game's coming down to the last 5 minutes, no matter what happens. And we'll just see, because Texas, again, if you looked at their season, it's bordering on great, but they've not done anything that is 05 Texas-ish, where you're like, whoa, get out of the way. Like they're not that intimidating, but I don't think anyone really is. So because of that, like, yeah, they're not perfect, but guess what? They win.
Yeah.
So let's stop trying to like make everybody perfect. Let's just see who wins the game. That's the problem with college football. At the end of the NFL season, no matter who wins the Super Bowl, we talk about how great a run they had.
Right.
What a great run. Holy cow. And then people start comparing like, what if the 75 this and 2000, you do that. But that's never going to happen, so you don't have to worry about it. But man, it's just about who wins it, not about how, like, there's not a it's kind of like when you graduate from college, nobody asks about your GPA.
Right.
Like if you win the Super Bowl, nobody asks about your GPA. They don't ask like, oh, but they didn't have to, like, you'll see some people who just can't deal with the fact that this team won, like, oh, well, this team beat this team before.
Like if Penn State were to win this year, their path was,
Yeah. Penn State, but here's the deal. If James Franklin turns around and wins 3 games in the playoff,
give him some credit.
Or wins 4 games, guess what? He's finally done what we've been telling him to do. Win games against teams that are ranked, that are equal to you. Don't lose big games. Then he's finally done it. We have to kind of back off him a little bit. I mean, he'll still continue to be a little bit annoying, but same with Ryan Day. If they win it, you got to back off. You know, not every, like, Steve Sarkisian to Marcus, it's very funny because you've got 2 very unlikable coaches in Ryan Day and James Franklin in this thing. There's not anything about their personality that unless you're, and even if you're a fan of Ohio State, you're never going to love Ryan Day.
You're not going to like them, yeah.
I do think that Penn State fans really, really do like James Franklin, but I do think they're kind of, they're like, hey, you know, like 10-2 every year is great, but can we please like do
something.
this at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know, because there becomes some confetti. Can we see confetti?
Right.
We want confetti in Happy Valley. That's what we want. But the other two coaches, Marcus Freeman and Steve Sarkisian, are
Awesome,
ridiculously likable.
Yeah.
And Steve Sarkisian went through a period where he wasn't, and then he's rebounded. I really like Sark. I like Sark a lot. We've met him a couple times. I really do like him.
Cool,
He's genuinely likable. Marcus Freeman, never met him, but I can tell you I probably would like him.
Yep.
He's very likable. He's very easy to get behind, which is funny because I do think that if Texas and Notre Dame are playing in the national championship game, there's going to be a lot of people who've been college football fans for a long time that are like, please kill me now.
Yeah.
Please kill me now. I don't want to see either of these teams be able to say how great they were. They're like, all the way back to 1945. We've been so good.
I'm gonna be honest. If it came down to that matchup, I don't like either program. I would have to ride with Notre Dame because I just need to see it. Like I was 3 when they won. Like so I've never seen it.
Look, I haven't been to Mass in a minute. If Notre Dame wins, I'll go to Mass. I'll tell you that right now. I'm very much a lapsed Catholic. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm a lapsed Catholic, but if Notre Dame wins over Texas, I probably owe the big guy a trip. Right. Even though I'm one who doesn't believe that he cares about that stuff. Like, why would you fix famine? Like, famine's hard, man. Yeah. But I can kind of focus on a couple games at a time. Omnipotence is really, really, it burns a lot of calories. You don't have a lot of energy. All right, that's going to do it for us today on the Big Shoe. That was my Ed Sullivan. That's the only word I can say as Ed Sullivan is shoe.
Bobby Taylor,
Notre Dame legend. Sam Herder, who covers the FCS. Smokey spoke with him earlier. There's the championship game is tonight. That's going to be about 3:40. Bobby Taylor at 4:25. Phil Bennett, one of our favorites, back after the holiday break, gives us his thoughts on the playoff. Cedric Golden on Texas as well. You know what? Like, one of my best friends in the business. I love talking to Cedric Golden. I've been at many, many press boxes with the man. He provides very valuable insight. And you know who I know? Like, here's why. And look, maybe Steve Sarkisian isn't as likable as I think he is, but I think he is because the guy before him was just not.
It was just not.
And we've had Tom Herman on the show. I've interviewed Tom Herman a lot of times.
It was just
like
not.
I mean, other than interviewing, he's been fine. We've interviewed him. It's fine. But like you can always tell there's a weird
there's a
vibe there.
Yeah.
Like Tom Herman, man, like I just have a feeling that his doctor would be like, look, you can have this liver transplant or not, I don't care. Like if it came down to it, like, I mean, yeah, I'll put you on the list.
It's gonna be a minute.
But
you might get chill.
Yeah, there's this 90-year-old man who's getting one before you do. There's no reason for me to feel this way. I just don't like your vibe.
Right.
I love it. That was his thing. All right, we will see you in an hour. And, of course, the top 5 of the 4 Timers Club when it comes to college football teams played for. This is 365 Sports.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today.